If there's one thing we've learned from Power after all these years, it's the fact that whenever everyone is looking in one direction, they flip the script and go a direction that we never even thought to look in. In today's video, I will break down one major plot twist that two specific characters are responsible for. And no, I'm not talking about Rock and Marvin. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. Please like, comment, and subscribe for all things within the Power universe. In the beginning of the episode, we got a final send-off for Famous, as Rock, Marvin, and Lou held a repast for him at the bar. The writers of this episode really did a good job in making us think that Rock and Marvin had something to do with Famous's death. While Lou wanted revenge, it seemed like Rock did everything in her power to prevent both Kanan and Lou from retaliating. Now, while I still wouldn't 100% rule out Rock as a suspect in Famous's death, I'm starting to really have second thoughts after what I discovered. But I'll get back to that later on in the video. It seems like Famous's death is what really evolved both Kanan and Jukebox into becoming the characters that they were in the OG Power series. They both looked completely dead inside throughout the episode. Speaking of OG Power, in that scene where Laces tells Kanan that he doesn't have any friends, it really seems to hit a lot harder now.
You don't have any friends, do you? You find it hard to make and maintain human connection, right? Hard to be there for people you love, ain't it?
Kanan really doesn't have any friends at all anymore, and the closest friends that he had were D-Wiz and Famous, but they're both dead. This really sets up the debut for both Tommy and Ghost in Origins, but for all we know, Ghost and Tommy could very well appear in the final season of Raising Kanan. Episode 6 was a full circle moment for Jukebox's character. This is the closest version that we have seen of Jukebox that resembles her older self. In the moment where she held Freddy's crew at gunpoint and didn't seem to be fazed by the sirens, this really explains why Tommy called her crazy when he was speaking to Ghost. And I think that if Marvin dies, we will see an even crazier version of Jukebox. We only got a small glimpse into what type of police officer that she became, so going into Origins I expect for Jukebox to have 1 foot in the streets and 1 foot into the police force. Jukebox will likely start as a police officer in Queens until something happens that causes for her to be transferred to DC. I think that we won't fully see the ruthless, calculated version of Kanan until Rock dies or leaves Queens. Another full circle moment this episode, and possibly the biggest, is Unique finally getting everything in place to take back control of the streets in Queens. When we saw Unique meet back up with Phil Russo, he told him that he only needs money and muscle. But Phil Russo told Unique that he wants to know how exactly he will be getting paid, while also telling Unique that he needs to assess the competition. We really saw Unique return back to his previous form this episode, and it currently seems like Unique is maybe 1 or 2 moves away from knocking Rock completely out of her position in the drug game. If Unique can somehow sabotage Rock's new partnership with Hafiz, then this may be the final nail in the coffin for Rock's credibility. But the most shocking moment this episode was when we saw Unique make it known to Rock that he's alive, as he appeared in Rock's kitchen eating the same ice cream that we once saw them eating together last season. Now, while some may think that this is a sign that Unique is actually Breeze, based off of how he just appeared like a ghost, similar to how Ghost would pop up on his enemies. And not to mention the breeze coming through the open window that can be heard as Unique appeared on screen. In my opinion, the writers of the show could very well be placing all of these subtle hints to once again fool us all into thinking Unique is Breeze. Since Rock now knows that Unique is alive, Rock can plot and come up with a plan to set up Unique to get killed. Unique will likely reveal that he's alive to Prenessa in this next upcoming episode, and Rock could use that to her advantage in a way. If Rock can somehow catch Unique slipping while he's at Prenessa's, or somehow get the upper hand on Unique when his crew isn't around, there's a great chance that Rock could get Unique killed. I think it may have been too soon for Unique to reveal that he's alive, especially to Rock. But on the other hand, Unique's character originally wasn't supposed to come back from the dead until the actor who played Ronnie last season got booked for another show. So the plan could have been for Ronnie to become Breeze, and now Unique could very well be next in line. Especially if we take into account the title for episode 7. Unique could choose to go by a different name in the streets to rebrand himself, and episode 7 could very well be the reveal we all have been waiting for. And not to mention, those tailor shop mirrors could be a sign as to why Ghost probably had one in his penthouse. Ghost could have bought the penthouse because of the closet mirrors reminding him of Breeze's tailor shop. Kanan's situation with OC can really go in either direction. Kanan still isn't aware of OC secretly working with Unique, and now that OC knows exactly where Kanan's stash spot is, this could cause even bigger problems for Kanan if he doesn't put 2 and 2 together. But on the other hand, we still never found out why Unique was coming out of Kanan's apartment building. Could Unique and Kanan have had a discussion off-screen that we will end up seeing in a future flashback episode? Part of me feels like Kanan and Unique had a discussion off-screen about the night Kanan and Rock set Ronnie up to be killed. And Kanan could have used Unique to find out whether or not OC is trustworthy by staging a fake robbery, and by having Unique link up with OC. This is just my theory, but I predict that we will learn more about the secret connection between OC and Unique very soon. And lastly, before I get into the real culprits behind Famous's death, I would like to point out the crucial mistake that Lou made by not going to California with Jessica. Just as we all expected, Birilla is now plotting on robbing the record label executive Lowell. And it's blatantly obvious that the robbery will end up going wrong in some way. It's possible that Lowell baited Birilla into robbing him. When you really think about it, Lowell doesn't like Birilla at all, and this could be his way in getting rid of Birilla while locking Lou up in a shady contract with the label. There's no way a record executive is going to volunteer to give up important information to a known stick-up kid. And this could all be a play by Lowell. And now to the unsolved question of Famous's death. Going into the last episode, everything was pointing towards Rock and Uncle Marvin being responsible for the death of Famous. But after watching episode 6, I believe that the people behind Famous's death are even more obvious. After we learned that Famous was tortured before he was killed, this in some way rules out Marvin and Rock, because they would have just shot Famous and got rid of the body a different way. And Unique was too busy making moves for him to be responsible for Famous's death. But think of 2 specific characters that we have rarely seen in these last few episodes. Have you figured it out yet? Snaps and Pop. When we last saw Snaps and Pop, they were talking to Kanan about stepping out of Rock's shadow. Snaps and Pop make it their business to know about their investments. Famous was always around Kanan, and Kanan is their investment. A lot of you may have forgotten that we learned about Snaps and Pop having dirty police officers on their payroll in episode 4 as Kanan entered the restaurant. And these same dirty cops could very well be tied to the 2 officers that extorted Rock last season. The officers on Snaps and Pop's payroll could have easily seen Famous being brought into Captain Baptiste's office for questioning about Detective Howard. And once they saw that a close friend of Kanan's was brought in for questioning, Famous's life was on the clock. That would explain why Freddy's crew mentioned the dirty police officers when Jukebox held them at gunpoint. And for all we know, Detective Garcia could be the ringleader of those dirty police officers. Snaps and Pop have barely been in the recent episodes, and that may very well be intentional. I also wouldn't fully rule out Rock just yet. In the trailer that we got in the beginning of the season, Kanan can be seen passing by as he watches Rock giving money to those 2 dirty police officers. So there's a possibility of Rock paying those cops to kill Famous. Rock was really suspicious last episode, and it seems like there may be a reason as to why she told Lou and Kanan to not retaliate. I think that we will find out the truth about Famous's death this next upcoming episode, and I'm expecting there to be a major plot twist one way or another. Did this latest episode confirm Unique being Breeze? Do you still think Rock and Marvin were behind Famous's death after learning that Famous was tortured? Let me know down below in the comment section. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe for all things within the Power Universe. See you all next time in the Universe of Power.